At ANU, research writing moves from level 1 for graduate students, from level 1 to level 8. But here we have up to 7 levels. Level 8 is actually the graduation lists. So if you check, you will notice level 1, generally speaking, is the level for those students who are beginning, those who are asking, what must I do? Level 1. Level 2 is for those who have understood their concept. They have crystallized their concept. They know what they are doing. So they request for a supervisor. You can never get a supervisor before you have a clear, crystallized concept. But what is a concept? A concept is not concept paper. A concept is the way you think about that research writing process from beginning to end. Level 2, you receive supervisor. Level 3, you're writing your proposal with the help of your supervisor. Level 4, this is where you're defending your proposal. If you check, you realize those are aspects of defense and immediate post-defense. Level 5, students who are collecting data and writing their final reports. Level 6, those who are defending their final research report, which is called project reports. And level 7, those who are doing post-defense, post-project defense corrections. Once you are done under library, now not under the department, we hand you back to the library, and the library will hand you back to the registrar. You know, by the time you're graduating, you are back to the registrar's records. And the registrar is the one who checks that you've done everything you are supposed to have done, and then you proceed for graduation. Now, all that information you're going to find in that document. I don't want to waste time on that. I want to go onto the real issues. Now, I have a question that I have posed right there. Is there some kind of logical sequence in writing research? Is there a logical sequence? What will an ordinary student do when they want to begin writing research? An ordinary student who has not taken any active, role of investigating the best approach. What such a student is going to do? They go to the library. They pull out the document they believe was one of the best documents written by one of the most shiny students for a specific academic period. And once they pull out that document, they place that document over here. They open their laptops, and the best way to save a research document is you write my research proposal, version 1. Save. Now, what do? They open the first page of that document. What do they see on the first page? What do you see on the first page? You see the title. This one says the role of business strategy implementation on the performance of microfinance institutions, a case of Aga Khan Agency for Microfinance Kenya, full stop. Now you start designing yours. This one says the role of business strategy. So you're saying the role of strategic implementation on performance, on organizational growth of microfinance institution, of academic institutions. A case of Aga Khan Agency, a case of whatever secondary school. That's exactly how it begins. You get done with the first page. You go meet your friends, give them a high five, and tell them, you know what? I just started my research. Let me just warn you, ladies and gentlemen, let me warn you, research does not begin there. And research does not follow the sequence of presentation. It does not follow the sequence of presentation. It follows a different sequence. And that is the basis of this book. I came to realize many students get stuck because of following the presentation sequence. And that's why the book is called Academic Research Writing, the Logical Sequence. Okay? And that's just what we'll be talking about. So, what is this logical sequence? Ladies and gentlemen, where does research begin? That's the question. Where does research begin? Which is the first step? Is it creating a topic? What is the first step in writing a research proposal or a research paper? Where does research begin? Yes. I thank God that they didn't hear you. Where does research begin? Let me pick. Could you try to answer that question?
Research begins when you identify a problem that you need to find the source of the problem, or you identify the gap and you need to research.
When you have identified a gap or a problem. Okay. Now, I have a question for you. No, not for you. For students who send me 3 or 4 topics, does it mean you have 3 or 4 problems? Let me tell you about what students do. You know, the cart pulls the horse. Yeah, and you're saying yeah. I mean, you are saying yeah. The cart pulls the horse. Yeah? Then the cart goes and the horse follows the cart, right? That's the way you're trying to put it. Eh? Now, many students will generate a topic academically. Academically means it's not grounded on a problem, but it's grounded on how they conceive of those concepts that form the variables. Okay? So, what a student does is to generate a few things that looks like variables and present them as topics. And once you send, you close your eyes and you say, God of heaven, please let this topic be approved. You know, your name will be glorified. You know, on earth as it is in heaven. Let me just tell you, it is not about presenting a topic. It is presenting a problem. You need to, I'd rather you tell me I've seen a problem. I have seen a problem. There exists a problem. Now, how do you know that there exists a problem? How do you identify an existing problem in a certain environment? How? Do I come back to you? Could you try that one? How do you know that there exists a problem? Could you try, please? The question will be answered by you and Amal. Try answering that. Yes, try. How do we know that there exists a problem? Yes? Unfulfilled gaps. Okay. What about you? What do you think? When do we say that there exists a problem in this area? You know, if I was talking like that here, what are you saying?
Finding out the specific problem.
Okay. How do we identify existence of a problem? I'll give you a very simple approach. Number 1, and I'm not sure whether you're going to get a good shot of this. Okay, just try your best. Let's see. I have 3 aspects that could help you identify a problem. And these 3 aspects will form your statement of the problem, usually 1.3 of your research proposal. 1.1 is introduction. 1.2 is background of the study. 1.3 is statement of the problem. Now, these 3 aspects are, number 1, the ideal. Number 2, the reality. And number 3, consequences. Those are the 3 aspects that will help you to know that there exists a problem here. What is ideal? Ideal includes how things should happen. There is a way things should happen. How are they supposed to happen? That is the ideal. How are human beings supposed to walk? They are supposed to be upright, right? They are supposed to walk straight, right? But at a certain age, what do you notice? They start bending downwards. That is the reality. They walk in, they slow down in their walking pace and they bend downwards. And what will happen if this situation is not arrested? Okay? Now let's come back to business or management. In order for you to bring out a problem, you must take the color black and place it beside the color white. A problem is very, very clearly articulated. Where the white is the ideal and the black is the reality. Anyone, give me a problem and a problem you believe there exists in management or in business or in projects locally, any problem. And please note that we are on national TV. We are live on national TV. So because of that, please be careful. You may say something that could be used against you. I'm not threatening you guys. So now you won't talk. Yes.
My industry, that's the education industry.
In the education industry. Uh-huh.
I find that many students want to, progress with their studies. Maybe you started working when you just had a diploma or you had a certificate, but you need to progress so that you also move up in the rankings. You get the promotions in the organization, or just to better yourself.
Okay.
To better themselves.
Okay.
But then what happens is that means you have to go to some university or some college somewhere and study, enroll for a program and study just to achieve what you want. But the thing that happens is when a student starts balancing study and work, it's a real hassle. And I think all of us can attest. Balancing work, this side, and study, it even causes a lot of friction with the employer.
Okay, let's cut it short. What you're seeing in a layman's expression is that there is a challenge in terms of work study or work-life balance. What is it actually called? Is it work study? Work study is this. Is it work-life balance? Yes?
Work study. Of course, life is also there.
Work.
I'm looking at the studies affecting.
Oh, okay. Work, study, balance. Okay. Now, what is the ideal in that situation? What is the ideal in terms of education progression and career growth? What is the ideal? What should happen? People should progress smoothly. Okay? So, first ideal is that there should be smooth progress or progression. Or let me call it career growth. Let me call it career progression. Give me another ideal under that same situation, please note, when you talk about ideals under the same, you will notice there are a number of ideals you could put together. There are a number of ideals. Number one, career progression should be smooth. Number two, employers should support academic progression or growth. Okay? Give me another one. I'm giving you the second one so that you may realize these things are not difficult to think about. What's the third one? In terms of career growth. In terms of career growth. Think about another one. If you don't, I'll write another one. Yes.
Employers should compensate individuals that put effort towards academic growth.
Should compensate, as in pay for that.
Should promote reward.
Employers should support academic growth. Employers should reward academic. What is it they should reward? Achievement. Okay? Please think this way so that you don't now think about employer. What should the government do? What's the ideal government? What should the government do to support the career progression? What should the government do? Someone from that corner. What should the government do? Yes? Government could subsidize in a way. I will not explain beyond that, or I will not seek further explanation. Government should subsidize, or government subsidies for the costs that you have. I like that much more than saying they should be compensated. You get the point? Because the aspect of compensation could come with many more issues that we may not handle. But subsidy, that is sounding a bit better. Now, that is the ideal. What is the reality? Are these things happening? Are they happening? What is the reality? Give me aspects of the reality. One, what is happening? Think about aspects that we have already enumerated up here, and let's check against each one of them. Okay? Let's check against each one of them. For example, there should be smooth career progression. Is there a career progression that is smooth? Yes? For that first point, we will give it a reality that there exists what? Career stagnation. What is the second reality? Do employers support academic growth? Okay. There is non-support. Non-support from employers. Let's go to the third one. Do they reward? Do they reward? In fact, instead of rewarding, in some cases, let us even go to some very bad imaginary scenario that employers reward non-achievers. True or false? It happens in many organizations. Then, government subsidies. How does government come in? Does the government subsidize? Does it? There is low or non-governmental support. What are the consequences? What are the consequences? What will happen if there is no intervention? That's the question. What will happen if there is no intervention? If no one does anything, what will happen? Yes? Yeah? There will be a problem of turnover. She's brought that point. There will be an issue of turnover. What else? What else could happen? Yes? Low productivity. Now, when you think about some of these aspects, please do not think from within that organization. Think about what will happen to individuals, to employees, to employers, to the government. You understand? Long term. What will happen to the government? Government has its Millennium Development Goals, for example. Do you think they are going to be achieved if we have labor that is beaten up by all these challenges? Okay? So, MDGs will suffer. We will not achieve Millennium Development Goals. Are we okay up to there? Now, what is a problem? A problem exists when there is a variation between the ideal and the reality. When there is a variation between what should happen and what is happening, a problem is very clear. The white and the black, once you bring them together, your problem is very clear. However, what then is the role of consequences? This is where you are bringing your research into perspective. If there is no intervention, then these things will happen. Are these things happening? Are these things happening? Not necessarily, in as much as the answer is truly yes. Not necessarily. Millennium Development Goals, they could be suffering now, but how will we measure that indeed they have suffered? It will come at the very end. True or false? Now, the point is this. This is where you're bringing your research into perspective and showing that this study of yours must be done to stop these things from happening. Statement of the problem, according to me. Who is the greatest footballer you know today? Who? Messi. It depends on which team you support. Who is the greatest footballer, Amal? The greatest footballer? Yes. You. You are the greatest footballer. Now, let me tell you, in research, you are the one who has the ball and there's no other opponent. You have the ball and there's a goalkeeper right there. You squander it or you score. Statement of the problem is a point where you are bringing your research to focus. You're trying to show that this research is so important. Without it, the whole world will suffer. That's why I said, please do not think from within that organization. Now, once you have identified a problem, there is one challenge. This problem should be made or summarized into a variable which now appears on your topic. Now we are getting into the topic. Remember, the key word that the gentleman gave us was work, study. It was work, study, balance. Now, before we go into that next part, there's a small piece I would like to bring on board so that we are clear about certain things here. Any problem is not of interest to anybody. Did you hear me? Not all problems are of interest to everybody. A problem that is of interest to you should be one that puzzles you. A problem that is of interest to you should be one that puzzles you. You heard her saying about a problem that gives you sleepless nights. After your research is done and you go to this conference and you're not defending anything, it is now you against your audience. And they ask you now, tell us about the issue that motivated you to write in this area. By the way, I caution you, anytime in a defense, a panel asks you what motivated you to write in that area, they are actually asking you about your problem. Did you get what I'm talking about? They're asking about your problem. Students will answer this way. You know, I saw this issue of strategy implementation. I felt it is a cool area that I should research on. Did you hear the word cool? and I wanted to see how implementation will affect motivation, staff motivation. So I decided to study in this area. You know, what you're just doing, you're giving an academic puzzle. You know, an academic, an educated puzzle. It's not coming from your heart. It's coming from your mind. It's coming from the fact that you are endowed with academic prowess and ability to deliver what you want to deliver and say what you want to say. Students who present a real problem that is backed by a puzzle. Let me give you some examples. In the past, I've given different examples. Today, I want to give an example of a student who was explaining about what motivated them to write about what they wrote. And this student, as soon as they started talking, they reached for a handkerchief because tears were coming. You understand what I'm talking about? And what was the story? This student lost her mother to cancer. You get the point? And that's why she was motivated to write about or to find out more information about how people understand about treatment for cancer. Why? Her mother died because she discovered too late that she had a lump on her breast. Do you think she discovered too late, you and I? I don't think so. I think she discovered early, but did what? Ignored. Do you get the point? A puzzle is that which could send you crazy when you talk about it. You want to even cry. You want to even beat up someone. Hallelujah. Do you understand what I'm talking about? If you do not have sleepless nights about that area, you have no business researching there. You're just another academic. You don't have any business researching there. Move to something that gives you sleepless nights. That's where you should research. You realize even after your MBA or after your monitoring and evaluation master's degree or after your MAR, you still will be interested in that topic. You understand? When you proceed for your PhD, you will still be interested in that same area. And you are renowned to be a guru in that specific area.